right. Hi, everybody. David Fogel back with you, CEO of the Symphonina Foundation. Back with another Symphonina Foundation podcast for you as we roll on this week. A lot of great podcasts leading up to the Grammy voting season. And I'm joined today by vocalist and composer Kristin Amarie and her husband, Grammy nominated composer and pianist David Lanz. Kristin, David, how are you today?
Hello.
Hello.
We're good. Thank you for having us.
Well,
we're honored.
Totally our pleasure. Thank you for joining us from halfway around the world in Cyprus today. How is it over there?
Still summer.
Is it always summer there? I've only been to Cyprus once. I had to land as I was flying. Where was I flying? I was flying from Kenya to London, and we had to do a fuel stop. So they did a fuel stop in Larnaca, but we didn't have the pleasure of getting you off the plane at all. So I've never seen Cyprus. I've just seen the runway.
Yeah. Next time you should get off the plane. You know, it's very interesting for those who like history, and it's quite cool. It's like a little California, mini California.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. I think back then, if I had gone off the plane, they wouldn't have let me get back on. So that was better.
You wouldn't have wanted to get back on.
Exactly, better choice. You guys have quite a few entries in the Grammys this year, but I wanted to start and focus on two that you had performed with the Czech National Symphony Orchestra, which are just gorgeous. Flower Moon and Rhapsody and Twilight. And I want to ask you if we could start with your impetus and how you go about composing just gorgeous music, and then how you go choose a particular orchestra. As you know, we record a lot with Budapest Scoring, and I'm curious to hear how your experience is. Obviously, it's great with the Czech National Symphony Orchestra. Tell me about that.
You want to start?
Well, really, it was Kristin had the idea, starting in the 90s, I started working with orchestras. And then as time went on and budgets got a little smaller, we went independent, and we were still working with some small orchestral groups. Mm-hmm. Kristin had the idea. She's got on the internet. She goes, we gotta switch it up here. We need to do something orchestral.
Yes.
And I was a little bit against it because my wallet was pinching me.
Yeah.
But she got on, and we found the Czech National Symphony and went, these guys are great. So and then Kristin decided
I contacted them, and David says, well, okay, so you found the orchestra, but what are we going to record?
Yeah.
And I said, that's okay. We'll come up with something. And within 4 days, we had the 4 songs.
4 days, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we had the seeds. It took a while.
However, we had the songs, we had the melody, we had the theme, the melody, and everything that was going to be in the song,
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have the orchestration.
Okay.
And so the orchestration, of course, took a little bit longer, but not that much. And we worked with Kurt Bester in Utah.
Salt Lake.
Okay. We all went to Prague together.
Nice.
And we got there in the session, and we kind of changed a little bit while actually recording as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last minute things, and
you know what that's like, I'm sure.
I do. But I'll, not to make it about me, but I'll just say for when we've recorded with Budapest Scoring, so far we've done it all by Zoom using the Audio Movers Listen To link, so we can hear, in real time what the orchestra is doing and sounding like, and it's been great. We've done, I think, very well with that setup. But I do hope someday to be visiting them or another orchestra like the Czech National Symphony Orchestra in person and working it, hearing it with my own ears live as opposed to through the internet. It is really amazing what we can achieve remotely these days. It's just great. But I do think it would also be great and a different experience to be there in person. And you probably would say the same, that there's nuances I'm sure you pick up when you're in person.
Yeah.
It would be helpful.
The real time was nice. We got to interact with the conductor and the musicians and the engineers, and they had a lovely studio, very comfortable.
Great.
But honestly, you can't hear. I mean, I would never have thought that you did your sessions via Zoom or, just not being present.
I appreciate that.
That is not possible to hear. I'm really, really surprised to hear that you managed to do that. And you cannot hear that.
I appreciate that. We have our method, of doing it pretty well down with Peter Lenny conducting on the Budapest Scoring Orchestra, and their engineers do great. And of course, all the musicians are excellent, just as they are with the Czech National Symphony Orchestra. And I think it's all great. Do you do your own mixing too, or how did you do the mixing?
We have a lovely man named Don
Murray.
Murray. and he's very well known. He's been mixing since the 70s. He began in Philadelphia with Tom Bell and the Philadelphia Sound. If you remember that, maybe you don't. I'm the oldest one in the group here, so I remember. But he's very well versed working with orchestras, as well as lots of different kinds of ensembles. So he was great. He did the mixing.
We worked with him for many years, doing a lot of different types of music. So we just thought we give it to him and have it back and listen to it and see if he knows what he's doing.
And we engineer. We do the vocals, and when we do the vocals, the piano. We have a great engineer here in Cyprus who we work closely with. He also does the mastering for us. So we have a nice little team.
We have a team that we use for different kinds of music.
And I was going to ask you, David, when you use piano, do you cut your master piano first, or do you kind of wait till the orchestra's done, or how do you?
Yeah, we've found that it works better to have the orchestral backing track mixed completely and then have the pianist record to that.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So
unless they're in the room with the orchestra, of course, that changes things. But if we're going to have a dub in, let's just say, if that's how we want to call it, then having them do it afterwards is a little better, because even though the orchestra is playing to a click, again, there are little nuances that come where they breathe in, breathe out a little bit as the music eases in and out. And if you have the pianist really to the click and the orchestra, it's the click, they could be letting out or in a little bit out of sync, so then you have more engineering work to try to get them back into sync. Exactly. And usually I'd say too, if there's one instrument, if it were a clarinet solo or something like that, that's a lot easier to adjust in a mix than it is a piano that has a pedal on and it's playing multiple notes. Things get slurred together. So that's how I would do it, have done it, and would recommend doing it. Yeah.
And you do your mixing? I'm sorry, this is
it's almost the David Fogel interview here. Yeah, that's fine. No, maybe somebody should
tell us all.
So I'm the lead mixer on Ascension, Symphonina Rising, and I was last year and the year before as well. Jordan Janosko did her own mixing this year. She wanted the experience of doing that, and that was great. She did a great job. And Daniel Fisher had his work recorded by the London Philharmonic Orchestra with Abbey Road, and I do forget the name of the person who did the mixing, which is my fault for not remembering. Gary Gray did all the final mastering for us on the entire album.
Great.
All right, back to you. What is the inspiration for Flower Moon and for Rhapsody and Twilight? You said you had the music ready to go almost, except for the orchestration. So I'm guessing you had some inspirations from Cyprus or maybe something else in your life.
We composed very differently, David and I, but the result is quite similar. Whereas I like to just use the melody, because my voice is my first instrument. So I will always sing and hum, and I will have melodies in my head, and for me it's the melody. Whereas now, talking on behalf of David, but I think I'm right, I've known him. He's using more chords. Like he will more think of chord progressions and the whole piece rather than just the melody. For me, is the melody. So when for example, Flower Moon, it didn't have a name, but it was just coming. It's just, it just didn't really have any particular inspiration. But we had a pressure because, like I said, we had booked the orchestra, but we had no songs. We had nothing. So we just, but I'm just kind of, I spin really fast. So I told David, we can do it.
Well, I want to use that as an example for people, who think that writing great music takes a long time. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it can come very quickly. And if you have it where it's sort of telling the story you want to tell, sometimes it can be very, very quick. And then orchestrating it, you have an infinite number of choices of what you want to do in an orchestration. There's many ways to orchestrate something, but it can go quickly.
Yeah, it can. And with the orchestration, we knew exactly where we wanted to go. And so we worked with Kurt for so many years as well on different pieces, different genres. And so when we went in it together with him, we knew already where we wanted to go, instruments, the whole thing. And so we just told him we want like this and this and this, and we could here and there and that. And then he does a little rough and he sends it back to us, and he goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it wasn't even finished to the day that we're sitting in Prague. Like I said, we had all these last minute changes that we wanted to take out. We took out some woodwinds at some point. I don't remember which song that was, for example. They just became too much when we were sitting in the room.
Okay. Well, they're both great pieces, Rhapsody and Twilight and Flower Moon, and you submitted them both for Best Contemporary Classical Composition. So we wish you the best of success. So you have some other submissions as well, and although they may not be symphonic, I'm more than happy to let you share what you're doing in those. So David or Kristin, if you want to tell us about your other submissions, that's great too.
One of the interesting choices was we took a classic hymn, Gloria in Excelsis Deo, took the lyric,
the prayer,
which is in Latin, I believe.
Yeah, the prayer,
and then wrote our own music to it. So, and that was done as a duet with Kristin and Dallin Bales.
Bales, yes.
Bales, yes. Who's a great tenor. Fantastic. And also had the Apollo 5, if you know the Apollo 5.
They're for Boches 8 Foundation. And they're amazing. We had Apollo 5 sing with us, and we submitted that one in Best Gospel Performance. So that's another entry we have. And then we have an album in New Age, of course, because we do have the grandfather of New Age here. But the album is different.
Yeah.
What's the name of your New Age submission?
It's called Airs, Ayres. It opens up with our version of Bach's Air.
And we made we wrote a text to it.
Wrote a lyric.
So we just kind of converted Bach.
And I brought in my friend Matthew Fisher, who was in a band called Procol Harum. He was one of the composers of A Whiter Shade of Pale, which pretty much has was supposedly kind of a spin-off initially on Bach's Air. So it was really
he plays organ with us on that one song on the album. So our album Airs is not really that new agey, but I guess there's so many different genres on the album that you wouldn't really know where to put it.
Understood. What is the music scene like in Cyprus? Do you have a lot of symphonic music? Is it very varied? What's it like over there?
A lot of Greek music.
I bet.
They like
Yeah.
They do have their own symphony that it isn't really focused heavily on Western music.
No, we do actually have a place nearby where they have annual concerts now. And Rachel Portman came here 2 months ago, and she was one of the invited musicians. So they have like an annual symphony, small symphony. I don't know what you call it. This is just new, so I don't even think they have really a name for it or the direction they want to go. But they're trying.
You have things to enjoy. That's good. Yeah, were you based in the United States for a while?
Yes, I'm from the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Seattle.
All right. And what would you say are like the main differences when you're composing, creating music, however you want to put it, that musical experience that we go through of being outside the United States on an island in the Mediterranean versus being, let's say, in New York City in that scene? What is there a different? I mean, obviously there are many obvious differences, but from the artistic point of view.
Well, I think we're very different, David and I, because for me, I just need to be in a space or a room that is somewhat peaceful. I cannot survive like clutter, or I have some slight OCD thing, like extreme maybe. So if I just
slightly extreme, okay.
If I just have some peace, it doesn't matter if I'm in New York City or I'm on an island in the Pacific, whatever. I can come up with a melody, I can come up with a theme, I can come up with an idea. It doesn't matter to me where I am as much. And I think David is similar, but maybe you want to.
Yeah, it doesn't, especially nowadays because of technology, you can reach out to other people and other technical people. And once that wasn't the question you asked, but the composing really, it for both of us, it's more of an inner process. It begins that way. And you're listening with your heart, you're listening with your mind.
Well, if it starts by the piano, for me, as well as that voice, that melody in my head, I like sitting by the piano, and I get rid of David. I get him out of the house because his piano playing is obviously I don't want my piano. I don't want him to hear I'm just really horrible. But I know enough to be able to create my melody and my chords and where I want to go. Yeah. And so I love creating by the piano. That's my favorite, I think, way to start.
Muffin time. Go ahead, David. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think a lot of people think that the environment, if you were doing rap music or if you're doing some kind of music that was drawing on, what
energy?
yeah, just the energy of, the social atmosphere. I mean, a rap artist is really a reporter from the street. They're talking about what's happening in their neighborhoods and what's happening in the world. Our world is more of an inner world, I think. And I think probably for many composers, it's that way. It isn't always about what's going on.
And can get very lonely.
Yeah.
I'd say in some ways.
But nature, of course, is a great energy to draw from too. So.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And probably a good reason you have Flower Moon and Rhapsody and Twilight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things
go ahead.
to do, actually Kurt was encouraging us. He says, this music we're really going off more in a classical way compared to some of the things we had done earlier.
Yeah.
And he was saying, it'd be nice to use classical terms like Rhapsody and Moon, Adagio.
Yeah.
And
but that was
A
a
minor.
plan all along. So we kind of were just on the same.
So I used Rhapsody and Twilight. That Rhapsody, instead of putting it as a subtitle, use it in the title, because it had kind of a darker feeling to it.
Yes.
Because
Twilight seemed to work.
It's lighter. It's more like Symphonina. It has like its melody, it has its own little story.
Definitely.
It's just not wandering. It's just not going out here, there, and back and forth. And
I'm sure that's one of the reasons I love both of those pieces, honestly. Oftentimes I ask people when they're on before we sign up what advice they have for young people getting started. But really, I'd like to ask you a slightly different question: is what advice do you have for couples working together?
Oh my.
Well, the best questions I've had so far.
I saved the best question for last. So,
well, we pushed each other around enough to where we push each other in and out of our own comfort zones. But probably in the end result, I think, is good. When we first met, because I had a pretty substantial track record. When I met Kristin, she was just beginning to consider, getting her music recorded.
Yeah.
And I'd only had 20 or 30 records, and I'd been touring and yada. So she kind of acquiesced. She kind of gave in to my suggestions at first. But then she started to kind of get her own strengths and a feeling for what she wanted. And then we had to start compromising.
Yeah.
And
then he had to start compromising.
Being
exactly.
Being the older male, it took a while for me to bend a little bit. But
it's a lot of
in the end, I went, wow, Kristin's got some lovely ideas. So let's just see.
I guess that's part of the answer, right? If you consider yourselves equals going in, or if you don't consider yourselves equals going in for whatever the reason might be, then at some point those dynamics change as you go on, and you have to adjust to those dynamics.
Yes, that's it. You need to be flexible. So
yeah.
Kristin and David, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Go to our websites, davidlanz.com or mine, kristinamarie.eu, or find us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or
all the usual places.
I found you on Facebook. That works just great. I encourage others to get in touch with you and learn more about your music, and we wish you all the best. We're going to listen to some more of Rhapsody and Twilight on the way out here, and we wish you all the best for this Grammy season. If there's anything that we can do with the Symphonina Foundation to help you, just let us know.
Thank you,
David,
for having us. We're honored. Thank you.